Hello, let me show you how easy it is to grow edamame or soybeans right in your yard. Come join me in the chaos. All right, so it's midsummer in Missouri. Normally you don't have to water, but yeah, it started getting a little dry. So I started watering, plus the sun's incredible. I mean, we're having 100-degree temperature days and it's like 70% humidity, so I love the way it feels. A lot of people complain. But anyway, you'll notice in here, I got a lot of stuff going on. If you watch my other videos, you know I like to chaos garden, which means I just take lots of seeds and just scatter them. And I let natural selection decide what's gonna grow. Some people call this polyculture. A lot of ways to describe it. But as you can see, lots of soybeans here. A little bit of skeletonizing there, but that's okay. These things are pretty extreme when it comes to growing quick. And you'll notice that I have little soybeans just popping out here, over here. Man, focus. Little soybeans starting to develop all over the place. I'm super excited because I love edamame. So you get they're like immature soybean pods. Very popular if you go to a Japanese restaurant. Sometimes you can get appetizers. Sometimes they give them to you free if it's a really nice restaurant, but usually, you know, the price is added to your food. So it's not technically free. It's just, they don't charge you up front for it. They charge you on the back end. But anyway, if you look here, lots of little soybean pods everywhere. And about 2 weeks ago, those little tiny white flowers, I was actually surprised at how small the soybean flowers were. I mean, I knew what they were right away, but I was just amazed at how tiny they were. I also have some lamb's quarter here. Not what the video is about, but I love lamb's quarter. Delicious when you saute it. Oh, here's a couple bigger ones. You see over here. So they look like hairy beans, but yeah, you steam those, and they're typically served with like sea salt, like large, coarse, granulated sea salt. You kind of sprinkle it on top. I love them. They are delicious. But I have those growing all over in here. Soybeans, soybeans, soybeans. It's pretty easy to recognize with these little leaf triads. My favorite thing about that though is this area right here is kind of depleted, and I love growing legumes. Clover, soybeans, peas, things like that. They'll enrich your soil. They form symbiotic relationships in their roots with nitrogen fixing bacteria, which basically means they take nitrogen from the air. You know, the air is 70% nitrogen, and they take nitrogen from the air and then they turn it into fertilizer for the ground. I got lots of soybeans popping up in here. Here's a pumpkin. I gave each of my kids a packet of seeds early in the season and a stick. I just told them to go around with a stick, just poking holes and just putting seeds everywhere, just for surprises. So they're like, kind of like Easter eggs, but you know, plant Easter eggs. And so plants are just popping up. In here is all potatoes. Yeah, I'm guessing they're getting ready to harvest because they're kind of falling over. Either that or the spot's too shady. We'll see what kind of a harvest I get, and if this harvest sucks, I won't plant them here next year. This is kind of an experiment. I just bought this house a couple months ago. And I got some fresh, brand new baby asparagus over here. So the crowns aren't quite mature, so the shoots are very, very skinny. But usually by year 2, you can get harvestable shoots, maybe even year 3. But point here is soybeans, super easy to grow. I like to harvest my own seeds to make sure I have nice heirloom varieties. And then I don't use any fertilizers or any chemical fertilizers or pesticides or things like that. So I know whatever I'm growing is going to be good. I don't know if I'm going to try to process them into anything. I just like unprocessed. I still steam it. I think steamed soybeans are a little bit better. I'm not even sure if you're supposed to eat raw soybeans. Quote unquote supposed to, like whatever that means. I'll probably try them for sure when they get close to being ready. I just know they get super tender when you steam them, and they're really good. So, and they're obviously really high in protein, which is why they make that stuff, but I for some reason can't remember the name. Leave that in the comments if you remember the name of the stuff that they make soybeans out of. It's like those white cube gelatinous masses. Tofu. Why do I always forget the name of tofu? My wife's gonna make fun of me for that. But soybeans everywhere. Along the perimeter as well. So I have an acre. Along the perimeter I have a lot of plants, and I'll actually carry like handfuls of soybean seeds. You go on Amazon, you can buy like a 5-10 pound bag of soybean seeds for some ridiculous low price, like 15-20 bucks or something. I like to look for sprouting, like if they're marketed as sproutable seeds, and that's just a really cheap way to get bulk seeds. And then you just take those so-called sproutable seeds and then you just disperse them all over your yard, and you'll end up with incredible amounts of things growing. Oh yeah, just noticing one of my potato plants. I believe that's a potato. It's flowering. Yeah, that's a potato flower. Is that potato? I'm not sure actually. It's next to my potatoes, but that might be a weed. It looks similar to a potato flower, but the flowers are a little off. So I think that's a weed. Never mind. Yeah, I have a bunch of potato plants over here in the sun, and they're all flowering. They're growing like twice as fast. These ones are a little leggy, probably because this maple tree blocks the sun for like half the day. So these things only get like 4 hours of direct sunlight. So I'm not sure how successful they'll be. If they're not very successful, I'll either not plant them here next year, or I'll, take off this branch right here, and then I'll have a lot more sunlight here. I think that'll give me another 2 hours of sunlight if I chop that branch. And then I have a lot of space over here. I'm thinking of doing a berry patch over here though. Like along that line, I already have a bunch of Marionberry and boysenberry that I planted. I'm thinking of doing a row of raspberries, or maybe even a row of Concord grapes. I love Welch's grape juice. So shout out to Welch's. Not sponsored, but I wouldn't mind being sponsored because I love Welch's grape juice. You guys listening? Just kidding. All right, so I guess I'm done rambling about soybeans. Definitely something to grow if you want easy food to grow in your garden. I literally have done nothing to help these. I mean, look, there's weeds coming up everywhere. Doesn't matter, the weeds actually help them. It helps to nurture the soil. Look up root exudates if you don't believe me. Nurtures good soil bacteria and just causes legumes to thrive. Don't use weed killers. You guys listening, Monsanto? Just kidding. Don't cancel me. All right, I hope this helps you. Thanks for joining me in the chaos.